Oh,
Sorry,
no.
I think I was saying I think it's because we've been on for 24 hours and Zoom probably just immediately disconnected it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how we are going to get the others back, but I suppose there's half an hour to just round it up.
I think we should go back to Ukona's question of like how do we continue this? You know, like I love that analogy of if going into the next room and there's breakfast laid out and all of that. I think that's beautiful, but you know, it's not possible in this digital. So what are these alternatives to continuing to hold space for each other in essence? Because I think that's what it's about, right? Is showing up for each other, holding space for each other, and you know, making these communities, these alternative intersections in, as King Debs would say, or just thinking of Debs all of a sudden in this digital, you know, how are we swiping right for each other?
I guess like often, you know, the easier part is to create connections, I think, in a way, but it's maintaining something. And that's also the part of this pageant. To start it is not difficult. To get a few people on board is not difficult, but from there to persist and to maintain and to sustain, that is the part that's testing and trying. So I think if we all just are really willing to keep putting in the energy and we see the value after 24 hours, we're still here. And like you said, Okona, you feel like you'll miss us. Tammy and I went to get coffee earlier and walking back, realizing there were only 2 hours left. It feels so strange to know that this is going to end. So yeah, I think it would be really great. And I don't think we have to decide now what that's going to look like. Because we have the details of everyone who was involved, and also they're probably following us now, the people who were maybe more passively engaged. So yeah, I think we can come up with something.
But most importantly for me, like we must get together and eat at some point together. Like that urge is killing me. My daughter's making like a killer breakfast for us. And I just want you all here. Like I want you all to show up so that we can eat together. Oh my God. Yeah, these are interesting times.
Does anyone know who invited the anonymous? Because it was such a great part of this conversation, and it would be nice to just to end with him as well. But I don't know him. Tim has an idea who he might be. Yeah.
I think it's quite nice though that we have kind of one of the questions, which was the final question we asked everyone, was about the next generation, and we have a toddler in the room. So I think it's quite a beautiful way to just actually round it off, having our last connection actually be that. Yeah. I don't really have that much to say. I think at about 3 in the morning, our reflection on.
Yeah, we had a mid pageant debrief. I don't know how that's possible. We had a mid pageant debrief, 3 in the morning, with whoever would listen.
Yeah, about whether this is something we should perhaps repeat annually, because it does very much feel like research and also a really nice organic way to expand a network, without like the normal filters of curating something, where it's like so decisive and through a particular person's lens. It's actually really collaborative, and there's a lot of chance and kind of discovery and curiosity and overlaps that happen, and times where people don't really agree, which I think is also important. not always just be echoing each other's sentiments. Yeah, so just from my side, I want to just say thank you to everyone for just being there, because it really felt like you could feel everyone's presence. And just the fact that I actually went to sleep for 2 hours, I didn't think I would be able to, like when you trust everyone else in the space so much to all hold things together, it's easy to relinquish that kind of control or like concern about things and just like give over to it. So thank you all for being part of it.
Yes, I was saying to my partner, like I feel like this is such a breakthrough for me, because if I'm participating in a talk and I'm part of like my name is attached to something, I would want to be there for every second. Like you, and I feel like I've been healed. I could just step away. I could just step away and know that it's going. You don't understand what this means for me. It's like, wow. But also considering like just where things are for me right now, like professionally needing to like have my eye on everything. It's felt so nice to just be able to know that everybody who's in the space is here to build, and trust that fully, and even in the disagreements, know that it comes from just a collective, we are trying to figure this out together. So this is, yeah, thank you guys. And for the vision, Michaela and the Art Meets and VANSA for coming along. Really, it's been beautiful, precious. Like, we have to connect somewhere soon.
Absolutely.
Come down, like you have to come. I feel like
When these borders open up again, I will be in Cape Town, back in the old stomping grounds for a little bit to visit. So I'm looking forward to like taking this back. I mean, as much as we can in this kind of new world we live in. What will this look like in the physical realm? But the digital realm has done enough to kind of hold us, and I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
And Precious, if it's useful, I mean, we've done like quite advanced, we've done quite a lot of work around the continent, and just through partners, right? And through partnerships and different organizations, and where there's not organizations, then just through different people. And we're always happy to share like our methodologies and the ways in which we work.
Yeah, I'm curious about like how you guys collect data, because that's, when you said that was like a little thing for me of like, because yeah, everybody else in Art Meets knows I've been living in Cape Town. I just kind of, I guess I'm now officially back being situated in Malawi, kind of having this renewed way of thinking about the space and kind of getting back into it. And when you talked about that notion of data collection, it was like this little light bulb moment of actually that can be a really great starting point here. Because like, look, these people exist who are, in these creative spaces, but there's no way to collate the impact over time that's had. And I think that's beautiful work to start doing, is to be able to do that. And I'd love to tap in with you more for sure on like what that starts to look like, on my scale. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, anybody else as well, like we're always happy to connect. And thank you so much for this incredible space. I'm sort of leaning back into what Kezia was saying in terms of trusting the process, and like how beautiful it's been for me, I think as well, Ukona, like I was like, oh, how involved am I getting? And then stepping back and doing this like this dance, right? And I think it is this sort of like very beautiful choreography of like how we move together, and create and lean into each other, and allow each other to be held when necessary, and then do holding when we can, and listen intuitively, and for where the conversation then leads, and where the next step is after the next 20 minutes after this, after all these hours.
I mean, do we need to? Maybe the last 20 minutes is just silence. If everybody feels like they've said what they need to, maybe silence is a good, I don't know.
Perhaps, but I mean, I also do just want to hear from Kezia just in terms of what you'd mentioned around like what it takes to own your space, right? Like, so what it takes for you to be like, well, yeah, I am an artist and this is how I work. And it's enough, you know? Before we even make it legible to others, just making it legible to ourselves and honoring it in ourselves. That this this world, you know? I think that's really powerful that you, like, because for me, what I was hearing is that you've done that work, or you're constantly in a process of doing that work, right? Of being like, actually, I am enough. This is what I'm doing. I no longer have to like validate it to others, but you know, this work does sort of do it in a particular kind of way.
A lot of time thinking that I'm just crazy. I spend a lot of time just thinking that there must be something wrong with me because society tells you that you have to be A, B, C, otherwise there is something wrong with you, you know? And everyone's journey is different. And I think we all meet people who change things for us, you know? We all, 5 or 6 years ago, I started having really weird dreams, and I believed that my ancestors were telling me to go to Namibia because I have to do something. And it's taken me, now I see things that happened in my teenage years in a different light, you know. But you cannot realize things until you realize them, you know, and you can only put in the work and trust that as long as you are putting the work, you will be on the right path. When things don't feel right, they're not right. When things feel really right, they are right. You know, you've got to trust your gut. I read a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink, and it's about trusting your gut instinct. Yeah. And I read a book called Journey of the Soul. My journey is my own journey. There are no answers. There are no right answers because everyone is different. You know, things have happened to me in a certain way because of things that have happened to me in a certain way. You know, I died when I was 9 years old, and they revived me. So all my life, I've had this thing about life and death, and it's in searching this link and exploring my depression through life and death and purpose, and is there a purpose in life, and why, you know, that I've found answers that I needed to accept myself. You know, your blessing is your curse is another thing that's helped me. Is I am strange, and that is what makes me so special. You know, a recent thing that helped me as well was there's a guy called Phil Borges who did a documentary on shamanism, but more on mental health, and how when you live in a rural village and you are different, you know, if you hear voices or you can paint or you are seen as special and you are nurtured. Whereas in our culture, or more Western culture, if you can hear voices, you're probably schizophrenic and they give you medication. They don't allow you the opportunity. Okay, I know there are people that are schizophrenic. I'm speaking in short terms, but we're not allowed the opportunities to explore the things that make us different. You know, I wasn't allowed to explore what made me see things the way I did. I mean, I even now still struggle with accepting it, you know. It's a daily process. I meditate a lot. Meditation meditation has been invaluable to me. There's a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron that also changed my life. You know, you've just got to trust in your interests, I would say. If you are interested in something and you start researching that thing, you're on the path that you're looking for. You know, there's a reason why you have a certain interest in something, you know. And it took me years to realize that my depression and my anxiety rule my life. And I was fighting it all these years because you're not taught to accept these things. And in accepting the fact that I have these things, I've realized that they are also part of my journey and part of my passion, you know, and part of what I need to give to other people. It's part of my art. So I'm in the process of, I say process, I'm still mentally accepting that I want to study again. And I'm thinking of doing art therapy as a way to use that in how I create art to allow people to explore their mental health more, you know. But it has taken me 32 years to realize how big mental health is for me, you know. And that's why I think it's so important, even, I mean, now, especially that I have a baby and I'm really focused on his future and what is important to him and accepting what's important to him. It's opened it in a new way for me, you know, where I try and do that for everyone around me so that they just know when you are with me, you are in a no judgment space and you are allowed to be yourself. In fact, if you're not yourself, I will find it as rude. You know, like I try and create that kind of space that's just open and free. But everyone has to find their own way, you know. It's kind of like, it's the beautiful thing, but it's also the sucky thing. We're impatient and we want all the answers immediately. But you can only you have to work for the answers. You know, you reap what you sow. The more you put in, the more you'll get out. These are things that I live by because they've helped me in accepting myself and accepting my art and expressing myself better. Yeah, at a stage, I wear a symbol on my forehead. I don't know why I do it. I do it because I feel it's me and I must do it. And for a while, a lot of people would come and talk to me about the symbol on my forehead. And then I realized that it was acting as a beacon, that it was drawing people to me who, after conversation, turned out to have certain things in common about mental health and we had meaningful conversations. So even as simple as just that, you know, I dreamt a symbol. It was very repetitive. I had to do something with it. That's what I did with it. And I met a lot of people through that. So I spend a lot of time thinking that I'm nuts. And then at the end, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I do, you know. And I must admit, I have a mother who only cares about your happiness, you know. Her only question to me ever, if I tell her I'm moving to Jeffreys Bay and I don't have a place to stay, she just goes, will that make you happy? And I say, yes, that will make me happy. And that's what I do then. So I have an acceptor on my side as well who has taught me that you got to focus on what makes you, your soul, your insides happy. And as long as I've trusted that, I've ended up where I needed to be, I guess, yeah.
Thanks, Kezia.
Sure.
I think as we have 10 minutes left, and I think we have kind of exhausted the conversation, and there were some beautiful reflections, and I think personally, yeah, I think we're kind of ready to all say thank you. And if there's any last things that you'd like to say, someone suggested in the YouTube perhaps like every second month having meetings with whoever has been part of this network as a group kind of thing. But yeah, I think like I said, we can just be in touch and see how it does manifest in future. Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of us who've been involved are all already working on projects together in certain capacities anyway, so it's definitely not kind of a loose thread. Okay, when no one wants to leave, it's like I see everyone thinking like, what's next?
Formalizing the leaving, Michaela.
I'm gonna, Connor, anything to say? Phil?
I just want to perhaps reiterate myself. I quite appreciate the showing up, really, like people that we don't know, you know, we just take one person and that person take another, and this kind of chain, this ripple effect that happened, really, if we can continue doing this, I think everything that we've talked about, that at this moment, it feels like it's abstract, it's vague. The how, we can be able to answer the how, you know. So like I said, for me, perhaps the next step is to kind of realize some of these points and issues, and take action, basically. And that the artists, yes, they can use their art, we can use our art, but sometimes physically showing up. Kezia, what you say was just like incredible. And I'm just thinking about, I hope Mbali is listening, because you sort of kind of saying things that she was also mentioning, that through her art is to deal with mental issues. And also as somebody from a Black community, how that is kind of dismissed as like, you've got fat and need, what is your problem? How can you be depressed? You know, but yeah, anyway, I just want to say thank you to everyone. And I'm hoping that we can be able to stay in touch. We're going to be able to trace the people that have actually participated in this marathon. Yeah. And we're going to try and share the link, the video with everyone, possibly. You know, if Dr. Julia, invited you, perhaps she'll be the person sharing that link with you, Kezia, if we don't have your direct contacts. But yeah, we'll try to look people up on Instagram and see if we find, but hopefully that everybody that has participated.
Sure. I'll be looking out for the video as well, and I'll pass it on to my people too.
Yeah.
Just a question: do we have a sense of? Do we have the data of where, like, to create that map, that physical?
Kind of. I think last night we resolved that we went to 4 different continents. We were present on 4 different continents. But yeah, we do have a little bit of that data.
And in YouTube, you can also kind of see analytics. I don't know to what extent, but we know where the people, not necessarily watching, I don't think, but we do have a track of all the people who participated, where they were. And I'm thinking about also the Art Meets app to plot everyone who participated on there and kind of do a zoom out perspective and see all the pins everywhere, and that can kind of be the start of this fluid network. And if there's any software developers out there who want to help and develop this app and get in on it, please, because that's like the only thing stunting its progress at this point, and getting users on there. And it's that this is the point of the app, actually, is to spread like globally through, and connecting people through art, basically. So that's the final shout out.
Now, you know, with festivals going online, there are no limits to what kind of exhibitions you can now have. You know, collaborations between different people all over the world.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into a whole other conversation.
Anan is back.
Oh yeah. Someone tracked them down. Tokologo, she's got skills. So I think they're quiet. And yeah, because I'm having an awkward moment now. I need to leave. Because I feel like we don't know how to end this thing.
I have to leave because I have a toddler who is roaming alone in the house. Thank you all very much. This was wonderful. Bye.
Lovely to see you again.
And because I am with physical people and we can have breakfast together and hug each other, actually.
Wow. In my face. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's just keep going.
Virtual hug.
Can we do a virtual?
Yeah.
Virtual hugs, guys. Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to head out as well. Malawian network has been kind to me, but I don't know how much longer it'll be kind. So thank you, everyone. And I'll see you guys soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Love you.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Ukana,
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, oops. No, I'm looking at the time. It's 11:56. I think we've done well.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Is it okay to leave? Yeah?
Yes.
Bye.
Emotionally, it's okay. It's okay.
Bye, Vicky.
Bye.
Amazing.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
We're coming to Joburg soon.
Ah.